¡Ay! ¡Entre contadas! ¿Entre contadas?
Entre contadas.
Entre contadas. Entre contadas.
Entre contadas.
Entrevistas a narradoras y narradores.
Hi, my name is Shereen. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and what that means is I draw from different disciplines. As a theatre person, as an Indian classical dancer, as a conceptual artist, as a writer, and a storyteller. Storytelling happened to me quite recently. So my initial training was as an Indian classical dancer, and then I got into theatre. Storytelling happened quite by accident for me, thanks to Paula Balbi. So Paula was in Dubai at the time, and she brought to the UAE a storytelling festival. For the first time, an international storytelling festival. So before that, we have a storytelling tradition in the UAE, but it's not organized, or there's no storytelling revival as such. So she brought the idea of storytelling. So me, I am a second generation Indian. My parents moved to the United Arab Emirates. Everybody knows Dubai. So I was raised in the UAE, but I also have very deep roots in my country, India, specifically Kerala. So I was in Dubai when she came in 2017. And she brought this idea of storytelling, and she invited a few of us to a storytelling cafe, very casual. People come and exchange stories, she tells stories. And for the first time, I understood that storytelling is a profession. I thought it's what my grandmother did, Storytelling you associate with somebody who's older, generally a female person, and older women in the house who pass on the stories to children. So for me, storytelling was that, and for the first time, I saw storytelling as a profession, as a performer. And then she told me to tell a story. So I got up and I told a story from my tradition, and that's when I realized that I am a storyteller. Except that my language is dance and theatre, and storytelling is a very different craft on its own. It is very different from dance, it is very different from theatre. So I studied storytelling after that. In 2018, I started studying storytelling under Paula, under Michael Harvey, who's also a mentor of mine. I also studied in India at a place called Kathalaya in Bangalore under Geeta Ramanujam. So I studied under different people and my own practice. So my style of storytelling is very active. I know people who are very interested in just the words and a quiet telling, but me, because of my background in dance and theatre, I'm very animated. So I move, I dance, sometimes I sing. I use hand gestures, which are mudras, in my telling, but in a very natural way. Sometimes it can be dramatic. So that has been a style that I have developed quite naturally because of my background in dance. So that's kind of my journey in storytelling. It's a short journey, and I have many, 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 many years to go. And it's comforting to know that you can be a storyteller even in your 90s. At some point, maybe you will not be an active dancer. Maybe you'll have to, in your 60s or 70s, you might have to stop dancing, but you can be a storyteller till the very end. So that's been my journey. You had a question about
tradition, about you speak about your grandmother and the tales, so a bit of tradition of Indian storytelling.
Yeah, so my grandmother, actually my great-grandmother, is the only person who ever told these stories. I can't remember any of those stories though, but it was really funny. I remember laughing because she always made us feel really comfortable. My parents didn't tell me stories. My grandparents didn't tell me stories. It was my great-grandmother who told us stories. Mostly when we were refusing to eat. So she would tell us and we'd do that, and she'd put food in our mouth and we would eat. So it was a kind of a deep bonding over food and laughter. So she's my first storyteller that I remember. And Indian storytelling tradition is very, very rich. We have lots of different styles of storytelling in India. And in India, we never separate dance, music, storytelling, theatre. Everything comes together. The actor is always dancing, the dancer is always acting. So the way we tell stories in India, there will be music, there will be movement, there will be speech. all these things come together in our telling. It's very rich, it's very dramatic. And we have different traditions across India, folk traditions of storytelling that are still alive today. Where I come from in Kerala, I have not come across really, really old folk traditions of storytelling. We have many folk art forms, but more so in the north, you'll have like, Kavad Katha. They use illustrations to tell stories, the Pandavanis who tell stories. So all these ancient storytelling traditions are alive in India. Mine's a style that I have developed. It's more of a contemporary style. And I have gestures that come in the story. I use my eyes a lot as a dancer and an actor. So that's kind of my style. So storytelling is a big scene now in India. Huge scene. It's a very, let's say, an easy profession to get into. So you find a lot of storytellers coming into it. They might be people in corporate who are retired and they want to do something. And storytelling is like the easiest craft you can get into. But a lot of the times people don't understand that it is a craft. So you have people who tell stories, but to be a really good storyteller, you need to learn the craft. You have to study it, you have to watch a lot, you have to listen a lot. You have to develop your own style. Because yes, we're always telling stories. As humans, day to day we're telling stories. But storytelling as an art, you have to learn it. You have to develop it over time. And the good news is, you can develop it all your life. You can be 90 years old and be an amazing storyteller. So there is a lot to learn. There are many people now who do storytelling in India. Kathala is one, they do a lot of stuff. Almost every city has a storytelling group. In Chennai, in Mumbai, in Kerala. In Kerala actually not much. No, Kerala we don't have. In Bangalore we have. So the main cities have storytelling groups. Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai have very strong storytelling groups. The UAE has a very small storytelling scene. Very, 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 very small storytelling scene. There are a few of us independent storytellers. Paula's company, the storytelling company, is based in Dubai, so she does a lot of work when it comes to storytelling, including corporate storytelling. So yeah, so that's the scene.
And when you were doing the workshop, you speak about doing different character in the story, no? That you're telling, and the same, and there is something very special for each character. So can you speak a bit about that work?
Yeah, so in dance, when you draw from dance and use it into storytelling, you create certain archetypes. So for example, if I'm saying a woman, I might use this mudra, this mudra, here in my chest, and I'll be a woman, Or if I'm a demon, then I'll be like this. You know what I mean? So we have certain mudras, certain archetypes, which are exaggerated archetypes. You know what I mean? To tell the story. So it's easy for people to understand because there is no text. So you have to do everything with mime, and the text comes in the singing. So it has to be very clear, and everybody will understand. Then there was a demon, and the demon killed the person. And so it's all done through gesture and the song. And in Indian storytelling, most people know the song. Most people know the stories within the song. Because if you don't have context, it will be a little difficult to understand what is going on. And most of these stories are taken from ancient texts. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas. There's a lot of texts and a lot of stories. We have loads and loads of stories. So it is communicated. The story is communicated through the music. It is communicated through the dance gestures, the mudras, which are the symbols that are used. So it's done through a whole bunch of things, the characterization.
So, in fact, in the Indian culture, there are lots of story present every day.
Yeah.
Can you speak a bit about this? Because
it's huge. The thing is, we have so many stories, mostly Hindu mythological tales. And there are folk stories, are a separate unit in itself. We don't do so much personal telling, because I know in the US, as part of the revival, there was a lot of personal storytelling. We don't do so much of that in India, traditionally. We do stories from the epics, like imagine Iliad, Odyssey. Mahabharata, Ramayana are two big epics. And the beauty about those epics is they're stories within stories within stories. So you can take a tiny story from that and develop into a show. So for example, I picked up one character from the Ramayana called Ahalya, and I have developed an 80-minute English storytelling show with live music and dance. So it's possible to take a seed of a story from an epic and develop into something else. So we have Puranas as well, which have again stories of gods, goddesses, kings. We have folk tales, lots of folk tales. So there is so much out there that you can take and make it your own. So as I was saying, Giovanna, storytelling in India is very rich because we interweave many things. We can take an idea from an epic text. It can be maybe a frame, a small 2-line story, and we can develop it. The possibility to develop it using, if you want, some people use music. They can sing and tell stories. Sometimes you can use gestures, and you can make it your own. Basically, the possibilities are endless, and we have maybe 10 versions of the same story. That's what makes it really beautiful. You know, like ancient stories. For example, why do we celebrate Deepavali or Diwali? A festival will have, 5 different legends. So you can choose 5 different legends and make it your own. So the possibilities are endless because we have many different ways to enter the same story. So that is a possibility. Then you had a question about, what did you have a question about?
It's separated women's storytelling
right.
to
Women's
men,
storytelling
or
and men.
how is the tradition in the...
Well, to be honest, I have more visibility on what the contemporary storytelling scene looks like in India, and there are a lot of women. Anywhere you go, you find women storytellers. You find more and more women storytellers. Men storytellers seem to be a little shy about seeing so many women in the same room and telling stories, but there are some fantastic male storytellers that I know of. That's a contemporary scene in India and the UAE. Generally, there are a lot more women. Traditionally, in houses, it was women who told stories rather than men. So that is kind of the home tradition and the contemporary storytelling tradition. In the folk tradition, you find both men and women. So sometimes you find male storytellers who are singing and moving around and telling stories. Sometimes you have a bard who's also a storyteller. He might go around on his own, singing and telling stories. Sometimes you have a small clan that is moving around and telling stories. I think in that folk tradition, it might be more male than female, but I can't say for sure because I don't have the data for it. But now, if you look at the storytelling scene now, women have taken over.
And you could tell a bit more about intimate storytelling between women in the house, or what is about what kind of story they are used to talk about. Well, you were saying that maybe women are talking more about in the house. So
yeah. The thing is, we have lots of ways to come together as a community. It's mostly music and dance. Rather than what I've seen is rather than dance is people come. We have work songs, you know. So if women are coming together, I mean, now everyone has a nuclear family. We don't live in large communities, but previously women would come together and they would have a work song. So they'd be in the kitchen and they'd be singing and they'd be doing their work, or they'd be in the field singing and doing their work. So it's typically song. I've heard more song rather than story, and the story will be inside the song.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have seen mostly songs, storytelling through songs actually, as in community when women get together or women and men get together, they're working in the fields or they're working in the factory, or it's mostly songs, or they're rowing a boat. They'll have so they'll have a song that unites them, and they might praise a god or a goddess. A lot of the stories are about gods, goddesses and kings in praise of mostly. It's devotion. Devotion is a very important part, and devotion is love and surrender and all these kind of beautiful things that come together.
Yes, maybe you could tell me more about the content of these songs. I mean, which story tell the songs? Because the tradition of the songs as a story, it's very, very, I think, worldwide, in Italy and in Mexico and everywhere. So maybe which story they sang, and also about this conception of love that is everything, no? It's different, it's not separated like we think, no?
Yeah.
The thing that you talk about erotism also in the story, and how this conception of love, it will be very interesting.
So the storytelling in India, whether it's song or dance, the root of that is always devotion, praise of a god, a hero, a king. And in dance, for example, the story, for example, if I'm telling you a story about Vishnu, about how Vishnu saved the world, the base of that story would be, I am in awe of you, you are so beautiful. So we end up describing this god or goddess, and then we get into a little story. And ultimately we close with the devotion. So devotion is the basis of it. And if this is the bed of devotion, on top of that there will be love, there will be many different things. The root is love, really, to be honest. It is about the desire of the human soul to be one with the eternal soul. You know what I mean? It's that kind of, so there's love, there's longing, there is this idea of wanting to be one. So these things are fundamental to the storytelling stuff. I'm not that familiar with folk songs because I was raised somewhere else. I was raised in the UAE. I was, let's say, an expat child, and so I haven't seen too many traditions where they're singing and telling stories. I'm aware of them, but that is you have to study those things. You know what I mean? I know it happens, but I don't know how many people of the younger generation know about it really that deeply. Because in my family, nobody passed on any songs to me. Nobody passed on any stories to me, which is sad. So a lot of people, my generation and the younger generations, nobody tells stories. We never read stories. We are an oral storytelling community. We never wrote things down. We always spoke mouth to mouth and mouth to ear and heart to heart. Always, as a country, as India, everything was passed on orally, which means that a lot of things weren't documented. So we've lost a lot. And if parents stop telling stories, or your family members or the community stops telling stories, then we lose many of those stories, which has kind of happened in the place that I come from, Kerala, with everything being commercialized, and we've sort of moved ahead as a modern community that I know many folk forms have died. So like there are these different castes who do certain kinds of telling. Like there's one who worships snakes, for example. So their singing would be about the snake gods. There aren't many people who do that anymore. So these things are disappearing a lot. Because the stories there's nobody to pass on that tradition, sadly.
Yes, and well, you were talking about that the conception of love, no, that in the story past that well, the body is not forbidden, but is important. So maybe you could speak a bit about this, because I think it's not so much easy to understand.
So the thing is, traditionally, if you've ever been to India, you'll see very erotic sculptures. You'll see very erotic paintings. You'll read very erotic texts. Like a poet, Shankaracharya, he describes the goddess, her form, a female form, in great depth. Like it sounds very erotic, but the root of that is devotion.
Okay.
But now, if you see it, things have been sanitized. You know what I mean? Things have so sanitized because of our, I don't know, Western education influence. Also, people of the books were a little, no, this is too much. So we've sanitized a lot of that. People are awkward. They have started to separate eroticism and sex from devotion. Those two things, ideas cannot exist. Whereas in ancient India, the two lived together very happily. So eroticism, sex, lust, love, desire, devotion, all of those things were part of the same ideas. Now we separate. Oh, okay, this is okay, this is not okay. It's too, let's just say, proper, thanks to Western education. What is proper and what is improper. In fact, when we were colonized by the British a very long time ago, we still have that sort of post-colonial mentality. But my point is, our Indian classical dance was described by the British as vulgar. It was vulgar because it was loose and vulgar. So we've had that idea that there are a lot of things in our culture that are not appropriate. So during the revival, we have gone back to them, but we've removed the things that we feel are not good to talk about. This is too not proper, not appropriate. So that sanitization has happened, but I think it is about going back to this material and using that material with sensitivity. At no point in Indian classical dance or storytelling or theatre should we descend to vulgarity. It's a very fine line. It's all about aesthetics. You have to be able to tell it by maintaining the aesthetics without descending to vulgarity. That only a skilled person can do. Because a look can change everything. Like, for example, if you're telling the story and then the queen looked. You know what I mean? So this can suddenly be vulgar, or the way she stands can be vulgar. So you have to know how to hold it. That it's erotic, but it's not vulgar. That's a craft in itself.
Great, super. So maybe you can say something about starting a story in your language, or closing a story also, just to close this interview.
You mean like how I say it? How we say it?
As you say.
I will show you in dance, in theatre, we have a special gesture for once upon a time. So when we start a story, we do it like this, okay? I don't know if you can see me, but this is it. So you have to use your eyes and your hands. So it's... So this idea of place and time. Once, there, long ago. And the idea of recall. So when the person is recalling, the eyes go down.
Okay,
So
and how you say it in your
my language?
Yes.
My mother tongue is Malayalam. I'm from Kerala. So we say, Pandu Pandu, a long time ago. Pandu Pandu. That's how we do it.
When you finish, how you finish? Generally, do you have a formula to finish the story?
It? Not really. We just do this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much to this interview.
Thank you, Giovanna, for your interest in my work, in Indian storytelling, and in stories in general. Thank you for doing what you do.
Ramaya Maya Saha Madana Red de Narradoras México.